What's going on, guys? Quentin Tarantino, one of the great directors of our generation, has his 8th film in theaters now, The Hateful Eight. Well, today, we're going to decide what the best Quentin Tarantino movie of all time is. And we have an awesome panel of critics to decide it for us. Let's meet them, shall we? First, he's an old friend of the show, been with us several times, the Nerdist critic at large, Kyle Anderson. He's also a friend of the show. He is the brains behind Schmoes Know, and you know him from Collider Movie Talk, and he's a funny stand-up comic, Mark Ellis. And he is the brawn behind Schmoes Know, and you know him from Collider Jedi Council and Fandango, Christian Harloff. So, FYI, we are taking Quentin Tarantino's 8 films and matching them up 1 verse 8, 2 verse 7, and so on and so forth, according to their IMDb rankings. And fun fact, Quentin Tarantino considers Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 one film. So that's what we're doing. Are you guys cool with that? Doesn't matter, that's what we're doing. The first one. Already a Sophie's Choice on the board. Number 2, Django Unchained. Against number 7, Jackie Brown. Jamie Foxx versus Pam Grier. Robert De Niro versus Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think it's Samuel L. Jackson versus Samuel L. Jackson is the bigger one.
Yes, that's what I should have said first.
Yeah, both of those movies are great. I'm gonna go with Django just because the scope of a film, it's so much bigger, and I'm a big Westerns fan.
Mark Ellis.
You know how I really want to take Jackie Brown because it's one of the best post-Batman Michael Keaton appearances that you're going to see, but I'm going to have to go with Kyle over here. Django Unchained is Tarantino in his wheelhouse. It's a Western. He knows how to knock those out of the park. And seeing DiCaprio in the scene when he actually hurts his hand and they use that take in the movie, if you bleed for a movie, that's why I'm voting for you.
There we go. Django Unchained. Moving on to the second round. Christian, just for shits and gigs, any thoughts?
I would have also gone with Django. I think that he gets better. Tarantino gets better every single movie, and there's a reason why he won the Oscar for that screenplay.
Fellas, you know there's a big group of Jackie Brown fans out there, and they all hate you now. Leave mean comments about Mark Ellis, Kyle Anderson, and Christian Harloff below. Okay, his first major film, Reservoir Dogs, against number 6, Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2. What a matchup this is. Christian, we're going to go down to the other end and start with you this time.
Oh man, because Kill Bill is one of my Volume 1 and 2, one big movie. It's maybe my favorite. I don't think it's his best, but it might be my favorite. But Reservoir Dogs, I mean, everything he did with Reservoir Dogs, that scene, just stuck in the middle with you, with Michael Madsen talking into the ear. I mean, Reservoir Dogs, I hate to say it.
Gotta go Dogs. That's 1 for Dogs.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Christian. I think Kill Bill is so much fun. That's 2 movies or 1 movie where you can sit and just watch 4 hours of a movie, and it's just you have a great time. But yeah. I do think Reservoir Dogs, he just comes right out of the gate, swings for the fences, and you know, people walk down the street with suits and sunglasses on because of that movie.
Reservoir Dogs, moving on. Ellis, just for shits and giggles, any thoughts?
I'm going Reservoir Dogs.
Doesn't matter, it's already moving on. Gentlemen, it gets no easier. Number 4, Inglourious Basterds. Versus number 5, The Hateful Eight. Yeah! Mark Ellis, start us off.
I'm going to kick us off, and I'm going to take us back to World War II, I believe, Hal, because I enjoyed The Hateful Eight. I saw it recently. Haven't had a chance to revisit it as much, obviously, as I have Inglourious Basterds. But what Inglourious Basterds did, changing history, flipping it on its ear, and even if it didn't have that, I think I have to give the tiebreaker to Inglourious Basterds for the opening scene when we got to meet Christoph Waltz, when we're talking about milk with a simple farmer, and oh my God, it became so much more than that. One of the best scenes of that decade.
Yeah, let's go to Kyle Anderson.
All right.
Tough matchup.
It's super tough.
Again.
Inglourious Basterds is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Tarantino movie. But I was so blown away by The Hateful Eight recently, having watched it. I've only seen it the one time. Mm-hmm. I was taken in by the whole experience of the 70 mil with the intermission in the middle, and you get the little program booklet. And I will say that I came out of that movie liking it so much more than I did the first time I saw Inglourious Basterds. I definitely came around more on that one. So I'm gonna go with the Hateful Eight. Let's go with the newbie. I'll be a whimsical dandy, we call me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a ball game. Christian Harloff, comes down to you.
The Hateful Eight was in my top 10 this year for the same exact reasons what you just mentioned, that this is a movie that is so much fun. It's an experience. It has all that classic Tarantino dialogue. Over time, you got Kurt Russell and Jennifer Jason Leigh just knocking it out of the park. And Sam Jackson might have one of his best performances ever in this movie. And I had a lot of fun with it. But Inglourious Basterds to me is a movie that I actually did the first time I saw it. It just blew me away because of that opening scene and what Christoph Waltz did. Tarantino changed history. What if that actually happened? You know what? It did happen. You know, that's the type of energy I felt watching Inglourious Basterds. Inglourious Basterds.
There you have it. Inglourious Basterds. The final matchup of the first round, fellas. Your number 1 film, Pulp Fiction. Will it get knocked off by the number 8, Death Proof? Kyle Anderson, are you going to pick Death Proof over Pulp Fiction?
I'm not, because I'm not a crazy person.
Mark Ellis, are you going to pick Death Proof over Pulp Fiction?
My pick comes with a warning. While I will pick Pulp Fiction, I'm going to say that it's dangerous later in this game to get too cocky if you're Pulp Fiction, because it could be upset.
Pulp Fiction is moving on, but Christian Harloff, quick thoughts on Death Proof.
It's a fun B movie. This is what he does when he does homages. Felt like a B movie. It was everything that he loved about it. He does it perfectly. It's just not particularly my type of movie, but it's a Tarantino. It's exactly what you want from him.
If that's the movie that makes him fall in love with Kurt Russell and him putting him in Hateful Eight, then fine, we needed to make that movie.
Woo! The second round. Django Unchained, the number 2 seed in the tournament, versus the number 3 seed, Reservoir Dogs. Wowie, wow, wow. Christian Harloff, talk to me, my man.
Reservoir Dogs is, again, everything. It was so simple. It was so simple, but you got so much character out of it, where you really got a sense of his dialogue, and then you get the evolution of that dialogue in Django Unchained. Out of the 2 of them, though, Reservoir Dogs.
He's going Dogs! The 3 seed over the 2 seed, Mark Ellis.
You know, I'm stuck in the middle with these two, Hal.
Oh, nicely done.
Don't
cut my ear off.
I'm going to say Kyle's going to have a tough decision to make, because I'm taking Django Unchained. Woo! I love everything about Reservoir Dogs. I love when a new director makes an announcement film like that, and it says, I'm on the map and I'm here to stay. But what Django Unchained did is it was a more important movie. Everything that Tarantino was saying with that film, from just making a cool Western into overtones of slavery and revenge and all these other aspects that were going on in that film, I think Django Unchained gets the nod for me.
Bingo, boingo, bango. Mark Ellis is going Django. Kyle Anderson.
This is incredibly tough because Reservoir Dogs, it's one of the most, the classic 90s movies. It's, one of these early Sundance movies and everything like that. But I will say that he has gotten better every time he makes a movie. And I think Django Unchained is a better movie. It's a longer movie and it's a tougher movie, but I think it's a better movie all around.
So that means Django Unchained is in the finals, and we are about to see what film will join it there. Number 4 seed, Inglourious Basterds, against the number 1 seed, Pulp Fiction.
If you're taking Quentin Tarantino as having 2 periods, his early period, which where he's making all his crime films, then his later films where he's kind of making his historical epics, I think you have the top of both. I think I'm going to go with Inglourious Basterds. We talked about the first scene. I got to talk about the bar scene. He does with small talk what Hitchcock does with silence. Like, it's just, how do you build tension with just people bullshitting to each other? It's fantastic. So I'm going to go with Inglourious Basterds.
Wow. I mean, I can't fault you for that, my friend. I mean, I've considered it, but I can't.
I appreciate it.
Mark Ellis.
You know how Pulp Fiction did so much for Quentin Tarantino, and for movie lovers in general in the 90s. It brought back the kind of movies that we didn't know we would ever see again, and it brought back actors we never thought we would see. I'm going to give Eric Stoltz a needle, and he's going to throw an adrenaline shot into the heart of Inglourious Basterds, because that's actually the movie I'm going to take over Pulp Fiction. Inglourious Basterds gets the win over Pulp Fiction. I just think it's a better movie start to finish. It's a more singular kind of tale, and I enjoyed it more than Pulp Fiction.
I think you're both crazy people. I love Inglourious Basterds. I think it's a great movie. It is inferior to Pulp Fiction. The dialogue has never been better. I agree that he has evolved as a filmmaker throughout since Pulp Fiction, but the dialogue has never been better than it is in Pulp Fiction. It is one of the best movies of all time, not just Tarantino. It should have won the tournament, and it got knocked out because you are high, and Kyle, I don't know you well enough to insult you yet.
No, he's high too.
Christian? That was a passionate defense. That was an eloquent defense. That was a defense that maybe swayed some people out there who watched it, but ultimately worthless. Inglourious Basterds, moving on to the finals. It is set. It's Inglourious Basterds versus Django Unchained, the number 4 seed against the number 2 seed. Who's it gonna be? And let's start off with Christian Harloff, Django versus Inglorious.
Pulp Fiction.
You can't vote for Pulp Fiction.
Django, I just watched recently again too. The way that he uses violence in that movie to prove a point, and the way with everyone, from the despicable Leonardo DiCaprio to the protagonist himself in Django. It is such a great, well put together movie. And then you have Inglourious Basterds, which I just argued against pretty strongly with Pulp Fiction, is a movie that you wish that that's the way history went down. You really, because of the way he portrayed that and what Brad Pitt did with the scalping of the Nazis and everything. I mean, they're Inglourious Basterds.
Bastards.
While Tarantino made Inglourious Basterds with his heart, and he really cared about that source material,
Yeah.
I think as a filmmaker, Django Unchained is a little bit more of a success, even though he might have felt personally a little bit more towards Inglourious Basterds. Django Unchained is the better film.
Wowie, wow, wow. We are all tied up 1-1, and this entire tournament comes down to Kyle Anderson. Critic at large, Nerdist, what do you think?
Well, it's obviously a tough match. All of these have been tough matches.
Don't tell us what we already know.
All right. The last line of Inglourious Basterds, I think this just might be my masterpiece. I think that sums it up. I think that movie is, at this moment in his career, as much as I enjoy all of his other movies, I kind of think this might be his masterpiece. Shooting Hitler in the face deserves the top spot of anything.
There you have it. Write it down, put it in ink, spread the word, retweet this, repost it. Inglourious Basterds, the greatest Quentin Tarantino film of all time. Fellas, how do you feel?
Well, look, I mean, we went through a lot together, boys, but I think we can agree as a unit that Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained are better than Pulp Fiction.
False. Very much of a falsely false.
What did you think of this tournament? Who do you think should have won? Was Pulp Fiction robbed? Are you a death-proof guy? Let us know in the comments below. And I gotta thank this awesome panel. You guys, this was super fun, and thank you for making the tough choices.
Absolutely.
Kyle Anderson with The Nerdist, Mark Ellis, see him performing stand-up comedy all over the country, Christian Harloff, Fandango, Collider Jedi Council. Check him out, schmoes know. Thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye. I want to ask you about one other animated movie, the Angry Birds movie. This is a movie that feels 3 years too late for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, it just feels like an obvious business ploy.
Yes.
You know, it is the most popular
But is anyone
mobile
playing
game.
Angry Birds anymore? If you still play Angry Birds, let us know in the comments below.